Hello all, thanks for tuning in. This is actually my first Game of Thrones video and I'm really excited to get this done. I figured what better point to start at if not now with Season 6. I won't be going in depth at this moment on previous videos, or I apologize, on previous seasons unless anybody requests it. Also, my format is going to include, at the end of my episode, a MVP or MVPs for the end of the episode that we are reviewing. So, let's start. Quick recap on episode 1. It starts with a pan on Jon's dead body where season 5 left off, and Ghost howling from his cage. Sir Stavros comes out and he sees the body as well as the traitor sign. Around this point, men loyal to Jon start coming out. They then get his body to a safe room. Melisandre comes in the room, she sees the dead body of Jon Snow, and we can see similarities between her loss of faith and Thoros of Myr when he said that he had lost faith as well until he resurrected the body of Beric Dondarrion. So I'm really excited to see what changes Melisandre will be going through as well. Anyhow, it then cuts to the Night's Watchmen arguing about the death of Jon Snow and who was responsible and why he was betrayed. And then it's explained by Sir Alliser Thorne that this was something that needed to be done even though they were all traitors now. And you have, I don't know if he's a new recruit or if he's a steward or what exactly he is at this point, but you have prideful little Ollie just sitting there smiling just smugly, and you really want to punch him in the face at this point. Anyway, it cuts back to Jon's room. His friends are all set to die, but Davos gives a different option and suggests to bring the wildlings. Edison Tollett, better known as Dollar Zed, offers to go get them in unspoken words. We then go to Ramsay, who has a moment with Miranda's body, but goes back to being Ramsay, asking for her body to be fed to the hounds. Roose and Ramsay then have a Tywin Tyrion moment, where Roose takes his son's victory over Stannis and just bashes it, and then he starts bashing him for losing Sansa and Theon. He then threatens Ramsay with a new heir, which will become the downfall in the next episode, as you'll see. We cut to Sansa and Theon being chased by Ramsay's best trackers, hunters, and hounds. They cross an icy river and find safety, only to hear their pursuers and realizing that they aren't safe at all. Theon decides he will sacrifice himself, but their pursuers don't trust anything that he's saying, especially not when he says that Sansa died crossing the river. The hounds obviously knew different and find Sansa. You then have the part that made me cheer, and you have Brienne, as well as Pod, which looks like he's been practicing, come out and attack the Bolton men. I can openly admit, once again, that I jumped right out of my seat and I cheered out really loud at this moment. I saw Brienne riding in, I saw Pod coming through, I see, the battle going on, but the best part of it all was Theon at the end giving the final blow to the Bolton men and just showing that there's still some Theon there, at least for now. Brienne again, she offers her services to Sansa, which she accepts this time and realizes she made a mistake in not accepting it the first time around. But you couldn't really blame Sansa at that moment. She didn't know Brienne, she didn't know what it was about, and at this moment she trusted Peter Baelish a lot more than she should have. So then we cut to King's Landing, where Cersei once again is experiencing loss. Right after, happiness is crushed upon seeing a golden cloak over Princess Myrcella's body, rather than Princess Myrcella herself coming towards the shore. Fast forward to Dorne, where the Sand Snakes are avenging the death of Oberyn and Elia Martell by killing Prince Doran Martell, and back at King's Landing on a ship, killing Prince Tristan. So they avenge Martells by killing Martells. This is gonna we're just gonna beat a dead horse if we stay on this for too long, since so many people have already said how stupid this is. So we get to Tyrion and Varys. Tyrion, in very bad Valyrian, offers gold to eat a baby. But luckily Varys was there to correct his mistake in Valyrian, letting the mother know that what he actually meant was that he was offering her money to feed her baby. They move on and they see a red priest of R'hllor preaching to the people. Well, he's preaching to the people to take action into their own hands. They walk off and they start talking about this as a problem. When bells start ringing and people start running, they decide to walk in that direction to only see Dany's fleet being burnt down. We go over to Jorah and Daario, who are seen on the right track. After having some back and forth, they find tracks of the Dothraki Khalasar. In the middle of that, they find Dany's ring. You cut to Vas Dothrak, where Dany reveals herself to be Khal Drogo's wife. She's then given protection and sent to live with the other widows of dead Khals, which we will more than likely see in future episodes, the Dashhalin. We jump to Arya, who's sitting there as a beggar and starts getting beaten on by the wave, with a promise that she'll return the next day to beat on her again. So that was pretty uneventful. And we're back now at Castle Black, where Sir Alliser Thorne and Sir Davos are having a back and forth between the door about everything being forgiven. But Davos really isn't that stupid. He's a very, very smart man, as we've seen. He questions everything, he's been through a lot, he's given up a lot, and he knows that they will all end up dead if they actually listen to Sir Alliser Thorne. Sir Alliser Thorne isn't going to keep up his end of the promise, so they hold out a bit longer, putting faith in the Red Woman as well as Dolorous Edd. The final scene was the WTF factor for the show, where we see the Red Woman out of her glamour. I think this is her showing how much faith she's lost, and we see her true age of a couple of hundred to a few hundred years old. Interestingly enough, this makes her old enough to have been alive over the rule of several Targaryens, especially when they were in power in both the East and the West. So I don't know how this is going to play out in the future. She may know more than we actually give her credit for. Obviously, she knew more and has more power than Sir Davos gave her credit for, which he now understands and realizes that he can use, or that this can be used as a tool to save Westeros. Or at least she can save the North at this moment, and then they can start moving south to save everything else. Sir Davos understands that the war right now is going to be between the living and the dead. Okay, so now we've come to the end of this episode, so we're going to talk about the possible MVPs of the show. For me, there were two candidates. Dolorous Edd for trying to get the help of the wildlings. That's going to be kind of tough because they did trust Jon, but how is he going to get them to trust him? Secondly, he had to go ahead and try to escape Castle Black without anyone noticing in order to get that far. So, for me, that's the honorable mention. The MVP of this episode was Theon Greyjoy. Only because he showed us that there was still some Theon left in him. Yes, I understand he betrayed Robb, and he betrayed the Starks. He betrayed the North. But he's redeeming himself with Sansa, who he grew up with basically as his family, as his sister. So if you agree, let me know. If you disagree, please put down in the comments below who you think the MVP of episode 1 for this season was. See you next time. Thanks.